This is Fit FM 96.7. Duncan Strelorny.
Small and medium-sized business owners, promote your business on Fit FM Business Ballout. Call our sales office today at 876-377-3442 or 876-317-1991. Don't be left out. Promote your business on Fit FM Business Ballout.
Saturdays at 4 p.m. Join Fit FM 96.7 FitFMJ8.com for a simulcast of Primal Sports, an interactive sports program produced by Primal Media and presented by top sports activists. So tune in to a simulcast of Primal Sports on Fit FM 96.7 FitFMJ8.com and Primal4K.com.
Get your day started right with the Morning Connection. Weekday mornings, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here on Fit FM 96.7. Connect with Julia Mikkel Benaya on the Morning Connection for news, business and artist promotions, great music and vibe. Morning Connection with Julia Mikkel Benaya, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. weekdays on Fit FM 96.7. Your life, your music.
Blessings and light. This is Aymara, the musical revolutionary. You're host and the community buzz on the Fit FM 96.7. Your life, your music. This and every Monday at 3 p.m. From the home to the community to the wider world. Let us be the change we want to see. Join me this and every Monday at 3 p.m. on the community buzz on Fit FM 96.7. Your life, your music.
Before God and all mankind, I pledge the love and loyalty of my heart, the wisdom and courage of my mind, the strength and vigor of my body, in the service of my fellow citizens. I promise to stand up for justice, brotherhood, and peace, to work diligently and creatively, to think generously and honestly, so that Jamaica may, under God, increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and play her part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race.
Struggle goes on. We are the builders of the pyramids. We are the builders of the stone cities of Zimbabwe. We build them White House. We build them factories. With blood, with sweat, with tears, with flesh, with bones. Them use build them economy. Now them want come con you and me with them science and them technology. We make them take with knowledge. Now them are deafly. Them are blindly. We are walk, we are ride, we are drive, we are fly. Nah look, nah see. Eyes focus on the screen of an iPhone, Galaxy, tablet, Blackberry. Wake up, look. Uno no sister them are very weak. Ancestors crying out. Them are weak. You see we heading back to slavery. Robotic, digital, technological slavery. The rich take them session, call it recession. Left the world in depression. Legal and illegal drugs and alcohol on the rise. In their interest. To our demise, we patronize.
Blessings, and light. Yes, this is Imara Musical Revolutionary, and this is Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music. And we are on the community buzz another day. Today is the 31st of July. Yes, the last day of July. That would have said, saying 2023. And we are heading up, out, or where, whatsoever we want to call it. But that is what is happening. One thing is constant, is change, and time is moving. You know what I mean? Although for me, enough time, I don't even observe time because life is timeless. Yes, you understand? But we are here. We are here. How are you doing out there? People all across the world. The people here in Trelawney, people in St. Anne's, you know, the people in St. Catherine, the people in St. James, the people in Hanover, yeah, all the parishes, the people in St. Thomas, the people in Portland, the people in St. Mary. How you doing? Jamaica, how are you doing? It's hot like a fire. I mean, I hope that where you are, you know what I mean? You are not feeling this kind of heat that I'm feeling here. But inside a cold studio now, the AC a kick. Seeing? But we give thanks for another day. And today we are going to talk Marcus Garvey. Yeah, because tomorrow is the 1st of August, the first of my born month. And guess what? Marcus Garvey birth date is the 17th of August. Yeah. So we are going to talk to the President General. We're going to ask him why the general depend it, because you know, some people would just say the president, but you know, he's the President General of the UNIA. So we expect to have him on a few minutes from now. But we are here, and we see some little things we want. I found what you want about Top Street, yeah, whatever you want to express it as are, you know what I mean? Then just fix the street there. Then just fix it. Them lock it off about 2 months ago and say, you know, them a fix it. Now, me see it dig up bad. And after about 2 weeks, them fix the street. There's a grill, you know, after you pass the fire station and come up a little more between the fire station and Harchurst. Right? What happened to that grill there? Why it can't fix? You understand? And so it's hard to find some people to make a grill to put right there. So in Jamaica, we can't find no metal, nothing, and we are selling so much scrap metal. We can't get none. We can't find some grill man about the place to design a simple little grill to put right there. So where people have to swing across the road, it literally become one way when you reach right there. So you understand? I'm calling out to the authorities. You know what I mean? Who responsible councillors. See? Yeah. You need to think about, you need to look about this thing. Yeah. It's in the town, and this town is what we call a tourist town. You understand? And it no look good. It no look good. We want to have some pride in a Falmouth town. Top Street, you know, me not like how it look. You understand? Just fix up what there and all sort of dig up. You know? What them contractor them on, you know? Them get paid for that. After couple months, the place start dig up again and a sink, just a few little shower rain. It no look good. And these things, we need to deal with them something, you know. If we else we'll continue to be third world country or drift even down to fourth world. You know what I mean? If we don't deal with these things. And it is our responsibility. We can't blame outsiders for this anymore. You understand? We are the one who need to take charge of these things and deal with them properly. They must be done properly. You understand? You know, we don't have so much money for a fix. How we have it? Maybe we have it. You know what I mean? But only some people it a circulate among. You know what I mean? But we need this thing to deal with. You understand? We need that. Because we don't want a serious accident happen there. So because we see how Jamaica are run already. them man, yeah, even if them a move from, even if it's a chain, them a go drive, them blast. Me see all man a blast in a gas station, them a drive to the gas pump and then blast to the box come and pull up and let call in door open with his cigarette in his mouth and he step out. Yo, me I tell you, say some man na Jamaica drive, you know, Julia, pure profile, you know. The man, them a drive and them cigarette in their mouth corner, so ain't no light, you know. See, and a spliff in their mouth and it no light. And when they step out, especially the man them will drive the markets them. When they step out, they left the door open, you know. See, and then just make some sweet bop and them and look around if anybody has see them, you know. Especially when they come at gas station, you know what I mean? The body, they tell you, say, Jamaica is a place. It's a real place, though. But we give thanks, you know, we give thanks that, you know, some people, we can say, I enjoy themselves, you know what I mean? But we need to sort out certain things. You know what I mean? And lift up ourselves out of the kind of condition that we are in. So as we say, we are on Fit FM, www.fitfmja.com, and we are so simulcasting on primal4k.com, and it is www.primal4k.com, right? So we give thanks and we're shouting out to the people who tune in over Primal. See, we give thanks, you know, for tuning in to the community buzz, and you know, I want you to participate in the program while we are here, because we are going to talk to Mr. Michael Duncan, the President General for the UNIA, right? And he will share more about why he decided to continue with this great movement, you know what I mean? And the significance of this great movement started, well, maybe about 109 years ago, what them say, 1916 or 1914, yeah, the UNI, you know, 1914, or 1914 World War I, that, yeah, and from them time that the UNI started, see, and then Marcus Garvey moved to the USA in 1916, and was well established by 1919, see, so it's some great vibration. And we have a quote from Marcus Garvey, you know, he said, education is a medium by which a people are prepared for the creation of their own particular civilization and the advancement and glory of their own race. See, he also talk about nationhood, Marcus Garvey. Nationhood is the only means by which modern civilization can completely protect itself. Independence of nationality, independence of government is the means of protecting not only the individual, but the group. Nationhood is the highest ideal of all peoples. You know what I mean? So the philosophy and opinion of Marcus Garvey, when we are come up, the Rastaman and call the philosophy and opinion of Marcus Garvey the Black Man Bible. Well, me have one of the Black Man Bible, so it kind of trade up, because a good while me have it, and my little boy use it very often, so him kind of, you know. But it is what it is. It is what it is. And, you know, say, sometimes you have to just go back in some of the history, you know, and see the struggle for even this book to come out, you know, the philosophy and opinion of Marcus Garvey. And while we are waiting for our guests, you know, let me just go and read, because you see, this program is not just a program where we just come just talk. It's about education and such like, you know. So let me start from, so the loyalty of the masses has unhappily all too often been offset by the treachery of the faint-hearted. Garvey's struggle was not exempt from the universal phenomenon of Judas's, quislings, and traitors. The Negro, he was moved to declare, is his own greatest enemy. So here, too, we see ample evidence of the enemies from within as they collaborate with the enemies without to effect the downfall to effect Garvey's downfall, and with it, the hopes and aspiration of millions of their own kind. In the unrelenting hostility of the larger world, too, we see in Garvey's experience a metaphor for the experience of scattered Africa. The larger world has not usually viewed with equanimity movements that would bring dignity to the sons and daughters of slaves. J. Edgar Hoover and the Justice Department plotted Garvey's undoing in 1919, even as near half century later, as head of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, he orchestrated the campaign of dirty tricks against Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. In death, as in life, the story of Marcus Garvey and the philosophy and opinions continued to reflect the generality of Black history in microcosm. The movement declined and the volumes went out of print. The man and his writings remain alive in the memories of many humble folk. For long dear years, Mrs. Amy Jakes Garvey stood almost alone against the near successful attempt in the halls of academia in the larger society generally to consign Garvey's memory to oblivion. She desired to reprint the volumes but could not afford to do so. At least two small concerns essay limited edition, but in quantities insufficient to have significant impact. Established publishers refused Mrs. Garvey's request to reissue the work. Then came the Black Power Revolution, and with it, the unseemly haste of mainstream publishing houses to capitalize on the newfound interest in things Black. By the late 1960s, three of the more substantial houses had competing edition in print. So you see it, when we rise up, when we start to do things differently, when we start to show interest in self, you know what I mean? People will start to gravitate. But we must be careful of exploitation because that's what they're always about, you know what I mean? They don't want us to educate ourselves and become powerful. And that's why I always say, you know, liberation over education. Because when you are liberated, you are conscious and know what you want to do. You understand? The liberated man is not a subject to oppressive laws. That want people to understand. When you are truly liberated, you can't be a subject to the laws of the oppressors. And once, no matter how you feel your standard of education is, if you are still under the subjugation of the oppressor, you are not live for. You understand? Some people say you must educate it before your liberation. No, you know what I mean? If we go and look at education, how a lot of people describe it, then we are putting the cart before the horse. It is reality. Most of our people, who people might call uneducated, stood for their liberation before them even talk about education. You understand? Because them know say when them free, them can decide what they want to move forward and to build the nation and the destiny that they want to build. So we say liberation over education. See? And we have to take a piece of music and come forward and see there, Marcus Garvey. You know the thing, you know. You know the thing. Me I tell my producer, Julia, Meetle, Benaya, Marcus Messiah Garvey. And then when you come forward, I hope to have Mr. Michael Duncan. Yes.
Marcus Garvey. No one remember. Marcus Garvey. No one remember. Marcus Garvey. No one remember. Marcus Garvey. No one remember him. No one talking about Paul. They been talking about William Carter. They been talking about Norman Washington Mandela. Post-Martin. No one remember. Marcus Garvey. No one remember. Marcus might be.
Yeah. No one remember who Marcus Garvey. No one remember who Marcus Garvey. How that? The great burning spear, saying who kept and continued to keep Marcus Garvey name alive. Yes, this great pioneer, he's more than a musician, he's a great, when everybody forget about Marcus Garvey, burning spear continue to burn it out there and make the people understand how great this national, international hero is. Yes. And we have online the President General, Mr. Michael Duncan, to talk about this great movement and to tell us about himself and to tell us why he sees it significant to continue with this great movement, the UNIA. He is the President General for the UNIA. How are you doing, Mr. Michael Duncan?
My dear brother, I'm doing fine, and thanks for having me on your program today.
We are happy to have you here, sir. How is it there in where you are now? Tell the people where you are.
I'm in New York City now.
All right, Mr. Duncan is in New York City. So we are yellow up all the people in New York City. Theodore, we are yellow up. And the other people saying, we just bless up the item and we give thanks for those who are tuning in on primal4k.com as well, and the people in England, right, who are tuning in right now. We give thanks to this great moment. We are going to talk Marcus Garvey today. Mr. Michael Duncan, President General for the UNIA. Elaborate a little about who is Mr. Michael Duncan and why you see it necessary to continue with this great movement.
Well, I'm the 10th successor to the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, meaning the 11th President General.
Okay.
It's my greatest honor to serve in this position as President General that Mr. Garvey created for us over 100 years ago. Everything I do comes from the instructions, the black prints left by Mr. Garvey, who is the greatest man that ever walked on earth. The greatest man that our ancestors put on earth. So whatever I'm doing today, I'm just basically following the instruction, the black prints left by Mr. Garvey. And I'm just continuing the work that he started, that he and our ancestors started over 100 years ago. I was born in Kingston, Jamaica, and migrated to the United States when I was 14 years old. And while going to high school in New York, I picked up the philosophy and opinion of Marcus Garvey. That was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. The greatest thing that ever happened to me, because I finally started learning about our history, our culture, our way of life. I started learning about the things that we created in this world. I started learning that the modern day improvements that I'm seeing here in the United States and the world are some things that we recognize and we did thousands of years prior. So reading the philosophy and opinion, I realized the contribution that we as Africans made to the world and how we taught the world, how they stole our arts and our sciences from America, but from Africa and brought to America and every place else. But the greatest thing I learned from reading the philosophy and opinion of Marcus Garvey, it's not just that I'm a Jamaican. However, I'm an African born in Jamaica. That was one of the greatest things that I learned and begin to appreciate and give thanks for my Africanness. So with that said, brother, I was led on the path from 17 to do the work of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. And not many people in life get the opportunity to do what they were sent on this planet Earth here to do. But fortunately for me, the ancestors have identified me and give me the roles and responsibilities to carry out that I was born to do, my brother. As I said, born in Jamaica, grew up in the United States. I'm a Garveyite in every sense. Everything I do is for the development of the black man. So that's a little bit about me, brother. If you have any more questions in regards to me, but I'll be happy to answer.
Um, why the term President General? Me just think about it rather than president. Why? Yeah, the people.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mr. Garvey, when Mr. Garvey created the UNIA is not an association. It's not an organization. It's a government. And our government were created fully on August 31st, 1920, when we became an official government, when we were recognized by 44 countries over the world as a government. We had a seat at the UN and so-called in their parliamentary hearing. We have a seat. We have relationship with 44 different embassies over the world. We have our flag. We had our constitution. So we were recognized as a government. So what Marcus Garvey did was to make the leader of the UNIA the president, but also the general of our armed forces as well. So there, the term President General was in charge of all the administrative and military activity, therefore term President General.
Now people hear this term armed force and military activity, and many people maybe don't understand that Marcus Garvey and the UNIA, really have a military setup. Can you go a little deeper with that people can understand? Because a lot of people maybe don't understand the magnitude of what the UNIA was. I want to use the word was now because, things aren't like what it was in the 1920s.
Yeah, well, Marcus Garvey knew exactly what would happen to him and the UNIA. So in the process, they started an army. They started an army because he realized that we had to defend ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
He realized that we had to defend our people here in North America. And when we leave to go to Africa, we would have to defend ourselves because he realized from history how the invaders came. And a lot of times we weren't able to defend ourselves. So from the first day inception of the UNIA, a military armed force section was organized, and it was supposed to be the Pan-African Army. And once we settled in Africa and ruled Africa, the Pan-African Army would made up, and soldiers would come from all the different branches on different states of Africa. Marcus Garvey had seen what these people done to ancient Africa because we so-called didn't believe in protecting ourselves. You have to realize that by 1920, the UNIA Armed Forces section was so well put together and so strong that Marcus Garvey did offer His Imperial Majesty soldiers to fly from this side to Ethiopia prior to the invasion because fortunately Marcus Garvey had seen this already and he understood that they were going to come to Ethiopia. So he preemptively offered to His Imperial Majesty soldiers, African soldiers from around the world, from the UNIA, who would be able to come and help to defend Ethiopia in need. Marcus Garvey also realized that Once we go to Africa and once we build Liberia, people would want to take it. And we would have to be able to defend ourselves. But not only that, he realized that once we settled in Liberia, then we would have to take every other African state. And we would have to take it by force because the oppressor will never give up what he stole from you. So Marcus Garvey had foreseen this and planned this to take over Africa. So once he landed in Liberia, that would be the end of the colonization process. They would have been removed from Africa, and they knew that. So they knew Marcus Garvey had the plan from not only to economic, but cultural, social, educational, political, and armed force wise. So again, you cannot claim you're building a government, but you don't have protection. So from the inception, the Legion, the African Legion, was created by Marcus Garvey. Again, after Marcus, when Marcus Garvey was deposed, and after Marcus Garvey, Carlos Cooks, who had a big influence over the Legion, the African Legion, he sent many soldiers down in southern Africa to help the fight for freedom and liberation. So again, just to let everybody know that this wasn't just a social movement, a political movement. It's a complete movement. It was a government, and a government had to protect itself. Therefore, the Legion that turned into the Pan-African Army. I hope I answered your question, brother.
You answered the question, my brother. Marcus Garvey stated, the battles of the future, whether they be physical or mental, will be fought on the scientific lines. And the race that is able to produce the highest scientific development is the race that will ultimately rule. That's the word of Marcus Garvey. Now, when I read that, right, and when I look into that, I am saying, now we are in this age, and the UNIA is still alive. You are the President General of the UNIA right now. How are we in this new technological age? What is the UNIA doing? How are we, catching up? Do you feel that we can make that change that we want to see within ourselves? That the black print that you said that Marcus Garvey left behind, and you now take up that mantle and to carry it on. How are we moving now in this technological age that Marcus Garvey spoke about?
Yes, brother. We're in a plight here, and especially we in this region here. We endured a few processes. First, most of us who were brought into this area, we were brought in by slavery. They brought us here to work this land and to build. But don't get me wrong, Africans were in this region prior to us. But the people who came from Europe, they came here to build this area. North and Central America, the Caribbean. And when they brought us here, they enslaved us for hundreds of years. They beat us, they brutalized us. Then that was the first period for us in this area. Then they claimed that they abandoned slavery and they went into something more the same, if not the worst, sharecropping. And through sharecropping, it's another disastrous period that was terrible for us. We endure all kind of evilness, wickedness, cruelness by the colonizers. So that's the second period. First slavery, then the second period was sharecropping. The third period came in 1914 That's the period of Garvey and Garveyism. That's the only time within this 300, 400 years we experience any sense of freedom, any sense of self-determination, any sense of worthiness. Garvey brought something else to us. The first thing he told the black man, and the black man had to believe it because for a century we were looked upon as our black skin was a badge of shame. Mr. Garvey came and changed that and let us know our black skin is not a badge of shame, but a glorious symbol of national greatness. We went through a period now where we start saying black is beautiful, where we start being thankful for our black skin. That's one of the first things that Mr. Garvey did. Let us start accepting ourselves for who we are. But not only the mental aspect of it, he brought in the social, he brought in the economical, which was more needed than anything else. If you're not economically strong, you cannot teach yourself. You cannot teach your history. You cannot teach your culture. You cannot teach science. You cannot teach math to any one of your offspring if you're not financially able. And if you're not financially able, you continuously have to rely on your slave master to do right by you. The slave master has never done right by us. And if we're waiting for them to come to our rescue, we're going to be waiting for a long, long time. So with that, Marcus Garvey prepared and give us the tool to be updated with everything. But after the third period, what happened, my brother? We went through a fourth period in the stage, be it in the United States, be it into the Caribbean, whether we're from Accra, Ghana, Johannesburg, and I've traveled these streets, Ivory Coast, Kumasi, Ghana, whether we're from the streets of North America, whether you come from downtown Kingston, Maypen, or Grants Pen, the same thing happened to us, where these people got smart and they brought in a new system where they allow us to incorporate in their system. Where now we didn't see the name for our stores anymore, our businesses anymore. We start shopping in their stores. We start doing business in their businesses. Therefore, our economic system just broke down totally. The homes we own, the gain we gain during the Garvey period, in this period of integration, was the worst thing for us. Where now we start thinking that they have accepted us. And in other words, all the wealth were taken from all the black communities over the world. But we have to go back into another period, and the fifth period for us have to be Garvey and Garveyism again. That's the only thing the fifth period can be, where we bring back Garvey and Garveyism to our people the world over. The Black Prince are here. But what has happened, brother? Mr. Garvey said, control the minds of man, and ultimately you control the bodies of man. They have control our mind, so they don't need to whip us anymore. They don't even need to kill us anymore, because they control our every step. They control our every move. It's like we are puppets on a string, where they pull the string and we move. So before we get into the technological advances and gains, mentally we have to clear up ourselves. So this is the stage we're in. And that's why we in New York City, we run a radio program where we can reach our people, where the purpose of our program is to teach our people to develop that mindset where we're going to put race first. Because if we put race first, then everything else takes care of itself. So the technological advances, the world is moving ahead of us. And they're moving ahead of us in every aspect, because They have us like a puppet on a string. And until we free up our mind, we're going to be. Remember what Mr. Garvey said. Mr. Garvey said, emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. Because none but ourselves can free our minds.
Yeah.
Mr. Garvey may say those profound words in the 1920s, and they still stand today. So we have to free up ourselves in this judgment, brothers and sisters, before everything else is possible. Brother, we're hearing China saying China for the Chinese.
Yes.
England saying England for the Koreans for the Koreans. We are saying Africa for the Africans, those at home and those abroad. And until we get that straight, brothers and sisters, we're going to be in a long battle. But the time is now. If we change the way we think tonight, if we change the way we spend our money tonight, I guarantee you, my brothers and sisters, our conditions will change tomorrow morning.
You're so right. Yes, last week I had a sister and she is Nana Akua. She resides in Ghana, and we were talking about collective economics, right? Yesterday when you and I was talking, at length, we reason about that aspect of collective economics. I mentioned about a discussion I had with a sister here on this program, and I too was analyzing the UNIA and Marcus Garvey. Was it about a socialist movement? Was it about a movement, the ideological principle of the movement? Was it about capitalism, or was it about an egalitarian system where all would be benefit from it? Excuse me. I was looking at it in that way. Now,
yes.
What can we do now? What is the UNIA that you are now the President General of? Explain to the people some of the work that you are doing, to continue or to expand that whole system of egalitarianism. Make we use that equal opportunity for all, a system that every single black man or black woman, African, make we say that, right, is a part of this, because that's our ultimate, just as you said a while ago, Marcus Garvey stated, Africa for the Africans at home and abroad. As the President General, what are some of the things that you are doing with your team? And we're going to ask you about your team, because you must have a strong team with you right now.
First question, my brother. Mr. Garvey asked that question a long time ago. And he asked, why should we tarry here?
Yes.
Brothers and sisters, I want to ask you, why should we tarry here? Why do we want to stay in New York City? Why do we want to stay in Paris? Why do we want to stay in London? Why do we want to stay in Kingston or Trelawney? These places are not for us. The way we were brought here in these places, we were brought here against our will. So the first thing we have to begin, we have to identify, brothers and sisters, we have to identify one God. That's the first thing we have to do, identify one God. And we can't identify any God that doesn't look like us.
Mm-hmm.
We can't identify any God that is not from Africa, that is not from Ethiopia, the land of origin. We cannot be a part of that. We cannot be a part of a God system wherein these same people who came to Africa, killed my mother, killed my father, raped my brother, and raped my sister, raped my whole family, then brought me into slavery. And after he brought me into slavery and beat me every single day, he's going to come back and say to me that even though I committed all these atrocities against you, God told me to tell you this. God say you must join me and join in my religion. So first thing we must do, we must give up all of their religious practices. It doesn't matter which one. They're not for us. Secondly, brothers and sisters, we have to have one aim. One aim meaning, what are we out to accomplish? What do we want? How are we going to get there? We have to be on that same path.
Mm-hmm.
And in this regard, if you're anywhere around the world and you're saying you're a Garveyite, if you're telling me you promote Garvey and Garveyism, then become a part of the movement that Mr. Garvey created. Become a part of that government that Mr. Garvey created for us. You have to realize that at one point, this government that Mr. Garvey created had 12 million black people in it. And listen to the greatness of the man. How can you organize 12 million black people from all the different corners of the world? How can you organize black people in different places that are speaking different languages? How do you do that? We
good.
have the days of internet and technology, and most of us cannot organize 500 people today. How Mr. Garvey was able to organize 12 million people, of which a lot of them spoke a different language. All of them live in different borders. That, brother, that's only possible if God himself, the creator, is working with you.
Now we want to elaborate. We want to elaborate on that within that time, and look on some of the methods that he used, you know, without the kind of technology we have now. What are some of the what is one of the main things that Marcus Garvey used to spread his message worldwide?
Is basic newspapers.
Yes. And tell the people of the name, because I want you to talk about the movement, you know, because you're the President General. Tell the people the name of the newspaper and make them understand who was Marcus Garvey, you know, behind that newspaper.
Well, brothers and sisters, we had the Garvey Voice. We had the Black Man.
Yes.
Mr. Garvey created a few newspapers himself.
Yeah.
And you have to realize that as Mr. Garvey addressed our issues, you have to realize that apart from the United States, apart from the United States and England, the Garvey newspaper was banned in every other country.
Yes.
Meaning it was illegal, especially in the African states.
Yes.
The Garvey information newspapers were banned. But what would have happened if people were caught in the African states and even in the Caribbean with certain Garvey newspaper? They could be locked up. Their heads could have been chopped off. So what happened? Many a times, people would come to Harlem and they would go back to these places on ships or wherever they were going. And a person would go to a community or at the ship's dock. People from different communities in Africa would come. And right there and then, Garvey messages would be given to them verbally. And their job was to take it for the communities, the different states, the different villages, and relay Garvey's message to the people, to the community. By having Garvey newspaper We didn't have to beg. The UNIA, we don't beg. We create wealth. By having our newspaper, we were able to create our own businesses. We advertise our own businesses. We benefited from them financially.
And one of the largest newspaper was the Negro World. That was one of the papers.
That's also the third one.
Yes.
That's also the third one.
Yes.
That he created.
Mm-hmm.
The Garvey Voice, the Black Man,
And the
the
Negro
Negro
World.
World.
Yes, yes.
So again, brother and sisters, the information was able to reach. But more than anything else,
I make we say it. It was like what them talk about now, smuggling drugs. It was like to smuggle it across the world. You know what I mean? In whatever means necessary to get the message around, because we want to make people understand that the revolutionaries would have to be lawbreakers, would have to break them law. You know what I mean? To get the message across. You know, so even though they banned those newspaper and a lot of the things that Marcus Garvey and the UNIA was doing, right? The message spread far and wide. And as you stated a while ago, you know, pertaining to owning your own media house, and Marcus Garvey as a skilled printer become that journalist, you know, and understand the importance of owning your own propaganda machinery. When we look now, Mr. Michael.
Hold on, brother. I want to give you a story before you move on.
Aye, cool.
Ho Chi Minh, the liberator of Vietnam.
Yes, I was thinking about him today.
Ho Chi Minh used to visit Harlem.
Yeah.
And Ho Chi Minh started attending some of the UNIA mass meetings. Only black people were able to be members of the UNIA. For some reason, Ho Chi Minh asked Mr. Garvey if he could become a member, or if he could come to the meeting. So Mr. Garvey said, okay, if you pay your dues and so on, you can come. And Ho Chi Minh would allow to come to the meeting. But at that time, Ho Chi Minh was working on the ships. So Ho Chi Minh was one of them when they stopped in different ports. On the ship that he was on, he was able to drop off certain of Garvey Voice and Garvey information for Marcus Garvey. But the minute Ho Chi Minh landed in Harlem, Ho Chi Minh would make it to the UNIA headquarters to learn. Because Ho Chi Minh had an idea. After Ho Chi Minh had learned enough, Ho Chi Minh said, I'm going back to Vietnam.
Yeah.
And I'm going to liberate Vietnam through what Mr. Garvey is talking about, putting race first.
Yeah.
So Mr. Garvey and the UNIA are totally responsible for teaching and motivating Ho Chi Minh to go for the liberation
of Vietnam. Yeah.
So, brothers and sisters, had it not been for Garvey, most of us would have been back in slavery today. Most of us, but what Mr. Garvey did, he shook the cornerstone of 3 major empires back in the 1920s. That's when over 400 European leaders got together and they asked themselves those famous questions: are we going to allow this one man, Marcus Garvey, to destroy what we built in 300-400 years?
Wow.
Are we going to allow this one man to destroy it? And that's when they say Marcus Garvey had to go. So about the UNIA, their objective when they look on the UNIA, they said it is dangerous for so many black people to be organizing under one banner. So what J. Edgar Hoover doing the people from London reach out to him and say, you gotta stop this man. You gotta stop him. You can't let him land in Liberia. The French government say the same thing. You have to stop him. So, brothers and sisters, when we look at it, we haven't done our job since Mr. Garvey, because you know what they did? They scare away everybody from the UNIA. They terrorize them. Brother, I'm not sure if you know Sister Samad, who died 2 years ago.
Yeah, man. I sat at her feet, man. I remember her husband.
Brother, may I say something to you?
Yes.
Sister Samad turned over her house to us.
Yes, we understand that. We need to get in touch with Brother Eru, Aisha Kamosa, you know, to see what is happening there, because she.
Yeah, well, I can tell you what is happening,
right?
Because it was turned over to me.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
And she instructed me what she wanted to do. She told me that when she's dead, she want to be draped in the red, black, and green, and I ensured that happened.
Great.
Right now, we're dealing with the house still. We're trying to make Brother Miguel do the final working to finalize the deed and what we're gonna do with it. So we're in that process. But let me tell you something, Sister Samad, as a child, she and her sister, her mother and father, had to be running away from J. Edgar Hoover. They traveled to Central America. They traveled to South America trying to escape from this man, because his objective was to get rid of all diehard supporters of Marcus Garvey. So Queen Mother Samad was one of those, and their parents, who had to run for the United States, from the United States, and they stayed away for about 4 years. Till J. Edgar Hoover and them thought that they did enough to destroy the UNIA. So what they wanted to do, and what they even paid some Uncle Tom to do, was to go out and create their own organization, because they wanted to water down the UNIA. But brothers and sisters, what you have to realize, as Mr. Garvey said, truth crushed to the earth cannot die. Truth crushed to the earth must rise again.
True.
And it's my job, it's your job, it's all of our job to rise truth. It's our job to make sure that Mr. Garvey doesn't die. And how we don't make him die, make sure that his movement continue. If you're not a member, an active member of the UNIA, you should become one today. And let's not wait for what someone else can do. Think about what you can do for the movement, because if we don't build this movement, our children are doomed. So it doesn't matter about financial, economic, political, electronical. It doesn't matter. Unless we get control and unless we get under our banner where we are putting race first, my brother, we are doomed.
Yesterday, while we were talking, right, we spoke about us as elders, you know, our senior, right? And I remembered Queen Samad and her husband, right? Now, we see the kind of work that she was trying to do here in Jamaica. You know, she was everywhere, you know, talking to young black women, especially, you know what I mean, Rasta women, a lot of them were around her, right? And, you know, maybe when August come, you know, the 17th, you know, you hear 1 and 2 people spoke about Marcus Garvey. And when you go there, it's just some old people, you see, you know, if it's entertainment, people will come out, you know. But we were talking about how can we continue a movement without the involvement of the next generation? Because when the older one expire, right? What will be
Yes.
the future for the movement? And that is one of the things. We realize that Marcus Garvey name and the movement is getting less and lesser now. You know, even recently, in recent times, you know, under the administration of Porter Sims Miller, there was this push for Marcus Garvey philosophy and opinion, or his ideas to be taught in school. And we realize that just push under the rug. We don't hear that kind of energy behind it anymore. Well, as we said yesterday, we know that the colonial system or colonial institution will not allow anything to do with black liberation to be taught in the institution that they created to serve their interests. How are we going to move forward knowing that the institutions that are our children going in now are not our institution? They are designed for a particular purpose. What is it that we are going to do to create institutions that will deliver to our children this great knowledge about this great individual that we are so passionate about?
Well, so my dear brother, that's such a profound question. And that is the question. What you have seen is that our movement has been destroyed. And I mentioned to you earlier about the fourth period, especially here in America, when they brought in integration. When integration came in, it came in with change the mindset, where we start thinking that we're okay. We don't have to fight anymore. We don't have to build anymore. The man has accepted us. The colonizer has accepted us. He's allowing us to come and buy from his stores. He's allowing us to stay in his hotel now. So, because he has accepted us where we can sleep in his hotel, where we can eat his food, where we can buy his food, we think that the fight, the struggle is not on anymore. But he did that to save himself, because he knows that our community we were building. So, brothers and sisters, we have to go back to building our own businesses and profiting from them. But it first starts with you and I. As I said, one God, one aim. And the third part of it, our destiny must be the same. We don't have that anymore. The slave master have trained us to look at it from the individual point of view. He has made a few of us so-called successful and doing well. So we think that the problems don't exist anymore. We think that it's a level playing field because John Brown make it and Miss Jane make it, so everybody else can make it. And we don't understand that it's the house slave and nigger slave mentality that's still going on. But brothers and sisters, we can't give up enough. We can't give up. We have to look at our situation and said, what are we going to do about it? Everyone who's listening now, are you willing to make a sacrifice to make the movement better? And if we are not willing to make the movement, it's not going to happen. So what happened? Because we believe we have been accepted now, we don't teach our children about our trials and tribulation. We don't teach them about our history and our culture anymore. So they don't know to continue fight. They don't know how to continue to be strong. And even those who continue to go to meetings, they don't take their children with them. So the children are not prepared. So if our children are not prepared enough, it's not the children. It's us. We didn't do the job. We didn't prepare them. If you have a business and you did not prepare your children to take over that business, it's an injustice to your child. And then we're going to say, he doesn't want to learn, she doesn't want to do it. No, you have to prepare them. And when it's time for you to lead your children, you lead your children and don't let them lead you. You lead them at when they're at that impressionable stage so you can prepare them. So again,
there's a brother, hold on. There's a brother asking if there's a statue of Marcus. I know, but I just want to forward it to you. If there's a statue of Marcus Garvey anywhere.
There's the main one down in
St.
National Hero Circle.
Yeah.
There's a bigger one in that, and there's one in St. Anne's Bay.
Yeah.
They're getting to put up a big one in Ethiopia where we contributed to it.
Yeah.
But we need to have a statue all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And what we need from our brothers and sisters, if you say Marcus Garvey, if you believe that Marcus Garvey did anything to help us, indirectly helping you, then help keep Marcus Garvey's name alive by joining his movement, paying it forward. Do something for our next generation. That's my job, is to get African people the world over realize that we need something. But Mr. Garvey asked those prominent questions in 1914 on a ship from London to Kingston, Jamaica. Mr. Garvey had learned about our plight of what he went through in Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean up to 1912. Between 1912 and 1914, he traveled to Europe and he saw the plight of black people there the same way. He read about America and the plight of black people by reading Booker T. Washington book, Up From Slavery.
Mm-hmm.
He got an experience on his way from England to Jamaica in 1914. He met a man from the West Indies who had a wife from the Basuto land in Africa. And she was telling him about the plight of black people in Africa and what they're going through.
Yeah.
This is in 1914. And that night, Mr. Garvey went to his bed and Mr. Garvey cried. Mr. Garvey said, what am I going to do? I have to do something. And he asked himself those prominent questions. Where is the black man king and his kingdom? Where is people of high places? Where is his government? He said, I couldn't find them. Therefore, I'll help you make them. And that's exactly what Mr. Garvey did. We have to ask ourselves, where are our banks?
All right, so we are here, Mr. President General. We are here now, and you and I understand what Marcus Garvey was about. The history is there for us, to take this button and move forward. What I want for us to discuss now, what machinery are we putting in place now? You spoke earlier on about a radio program that you have. Are you still on that radio program or what? Can you?
Yeah. We're on a radio program, 93.5 FM in New York City.
Yeah.
We come on every Monday evening and Tuesday evening from 8 to 9 p.m.
So you will be on this evening? You will be on this evening?
Yes, we'll be on this evening.
Okay.
93.5 FM WBIP, or if you want the app, is Irijam Radio.
Irijam Radio, okay.
So that's one mechanism we use to reach our people.
Yes.
I have a few restaurants here in New York City, and my restaurants are used as a recruiting place for Africans who want to be free.
Yeah. Is the UNIA restaurant or your personal restaurant?
No, those 4 restaurants are my personal business, but
yes,
every business that I own, from my proceeds, I give portion to the UNIA.
Okay.
I give portion to the community.
Okay. So this is what we want to find out. Is like Marcus Garvey as the President General, right? At the time, sold shares, in the UNIA. Is it that you are practicing the same principle now to sell shares that people can be a part of that movement and feel like, yes, this is something that I can contribute to for a collective economic movement? Is that open right now?
Yes, and I'm going to tell you unequivocally, I am proud and I am honored to be the biggest plagiarizer of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. The business that we created here, we call it The Rock. It's FACA Restaurant Owners Corp. We call it The Rock. The Rock because it's the rock that black people are going to stand on. We have over 200 black people invested in this business. It's a possibility that when we were creating it, 5 of us could have invested and create a business model for ourselves where 5 of us will benefit. But right now we have over 200 investors, and each day, each week, it's increasing. Where more and more Africans are investing. And the approach that Mr. Garvey used in 1919, it's the same approach we use. It's the same approach in determining how we were going to sell our shares in this company.
Yeah.
The only thing, you have to be a black person to buy a share in this company. But it's the same model. We don't need to change it. So the same mechanism Mr. Garvey used in 1919 for the Factory Workers Corporation and for the Black Star Line Steamship Corporation, it's the same model we're using now, and it's working, my brother.
All right. We're going to take a break. We'll play a piece of Burning Spear and come forward. And when we come forward, we're going to elaborate a little more on, Liberia. You told me about a farm that you have in Liberia, Liberty Farm. And
Sure.
we're going to go into a little deeper into that. Soon come.
Marcus Garvey words come to pass. Can't get no food to eat. Can't get no money to spend. Can't get no food to eat. Can't get no money to spend. Come, little one, oh, let me do what I can for you. And you, hello. Come, little one, come. Oh, let me do what I can for you and you alone. The right hand do it now shall be spanked with many stripes, weeping and wailing and mourning. You got yourself to blame. I tell you, you're right. You're right. I beg you. Tell you to do right. Beg you to do right.
Yes, that's Burning Spear. He must say Bagawaya no then no way around, right? And he must say we must do good. Do good. right? And we have to do good to ourselves. We have to do good by lifting up ourselves. With people, you can call in, you know, we don't know. You can call in if you have any question for the President General, Mr. Michael Duncan. You can call in and ask him the questions, right? We are 876-478-91. So you can call in on 513-6668. 876-513-6668. You know what I mean? And you can, you know, ask him any question that you want to ask him, because we are talking about black liberation. That's what we are about. We see what is taking place in Niger right now. You know, Niger is burning. And many things, you know, are directed at Africa right now. We see where the Russians are there, we see where the Chinese are there, and we see where the West is getting edgy, and we see where the West is trying to push certain agenda in Africa and African people mind. But we're not going to stand up for that. We see sanction against Museveni because of the steps that he made against certain kind of agenda. You know what I mean? We see the steps that they are trying to push against Ghana because the Ghana president is standing up. So we see African leaders waking up, right? And we know a lot of the people in Africa, you know what I mean? All African leaders nowadays talk about Marcus Garvey. Museveni, before he won the revolution, he was a student of Marcus Garvey. And we want people to understand that one of the greatest liberator of Africa, Kwame Nkrumah, right? He also was a student of Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Mr. President General Michael Duncan, welcome forward, sir.
Yes, much love again, my brother.
Yes, yesterday we talked about your restaurant, and you was telling me about one of the main things that you sell. And we have some farmers here in Falmouth, and we hope we can get some of them farmers if we produce some of them cassava there and next some bami that you can get some bami to sell over there. So tell the people one of the main things that your restaurant really pushing over there, right, in New York and across the
Well, we are located out in Queens, New York, and we have a massive amount of Caribbean people.
Yeah.
With a big Jamaican population.
See.
And our business, every day, we get at least close to 200 Jamaican restaurants that come to us this year. You know, the Jamaican restaurants and the individuals, them buy a lot of bami.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm telling you, for the last 3 weeks, we haven't had one bami in the store.
What?
And the reason why, because the bami producers, them in Kingston, telling us that they have a problem getting the cassava.
Let me call out to my farmer virgin. Mr. Lyons, yeah, listen, sir. Shango, yeah, listen. Peter Wise up in the hills, they were call out to the eye them. Plant some cassava. We have a market, and the market is about black people, the UNIA, right? Mr. Michael Duncan, the Rock Restaurants in Queens, New York. If we have bami, we have a market. So, how is the cassava farming going in Trelawny? Go ahead, Mr. Duncan. We just call out to some farmers.
Yeah, and as such, because every year, at least once a year, I go through this problem where maybe for a month and a half, I don't have enough bami to sell.
Wow.
So I decided to change that because what I've done is to create a farm named Liberty Farm.
Wow.
Which Mr. Garvey had in his plan in 1920 to create a Liberty Farm in Liberia. We have created one.
Okay.
We are growing a massive amount of cassava on it.
Wow.
Because we're going to be able to supplement what we're getting from Jamaica. But at the same time, we're establishing a packing company in Jamaica because no longer do we want the foreigners to come into Jamaica and buy the products from our farmers and bring them to us and sell them back to us.
Okay.
Black people here in America. We want to buy our own thing from our own people in Jamaica and bring them here and sell them to ourselves. So what we realized that in the past, I've directed certain farmers to certain packers to be able to even plant yellow yam
Mm-hmm.
and send to me. But because the farmers them don't have the license, most of the time they can't pack. So what happened when they go to a packer? The packer has an upcharge that they have to buy from the farmers to make sure they make a profit.
You
So
mean
sometimes
the
it's
license
difficult for the
license you mean the license to pack? That's what you're saying.
basically speaking.
Okay, all right.
So what I'm doing in Jamaica, I'm getting ready to set up my own packing house that we can take things from these farmers without the upcharge, so they can make some money at the same time, and we can bring the goods to our people. So we're
Great.
in the process of doing that.
Great,
But
great.
in the same time, if any farmer has any way of getting products here, we would love to get them. But that's the products that's accepted by the US.
Okay.
Secondly, for certain products, they have to go through someone with a packing license.
Okay. So it is what you are doing. I believe that is the safest way, you know, to set up your own packing house here that people, the farmer could just come straight to you and you deal with it from this end.
Yeah. So that's what we're working on right now.
You talk about Liberia. Go a little deeper on that for us now. Make we understand what you are doing in Liberia. What you and I are doing in Liberia.
Well, the first thing we have done in Liberia is to create a few UNIA divisions in Liberia
Mhm.
to bring Garvey and Garveyism to the people, to teach the people about Garvey, because it was Liberia that Mr. Garvey had planned on creating the UNIA headquarters.
Yes.
I don't know if you know about the facility that Firestone built there. Firestone is on 1 million acres of land in Liberia. And that was the land that Mr. Garvey had planned on buying. However, between France, the US, and England, they directed to persuade the Liberian government not to deal with Mr. Garvey.
Mhm.
Mr. Garvey was leasing that land for $1 an acre from the Liberian government. Firestone got it for 6 cents an acre
What a wicked.
for 1 million acres. So if
For how
we
many
didn't
years,
have
man?
these-
For how many years?
Well, Firestone got it about in the 1920s. They start business in 1923,
Mm-hmm.
and they have had it since. They had it for a certain amount of years, and I think it was expired 20 years ago, and they redo a new deal.
For
So that's the
what?
land.
Under which
Yeah.
government?
Well, what I'm gonna tell you is, brother, we can't even blame the government. And I'm gonna tell you why we cannot blame the government. You see, the powers that be is very strong,
Mm-hmm.
And whenever they want their companies to get the jobs or get contracts, they know what to do. If it means starting a revolution, if it means buying, if it means selling, if it means killing, they do what they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, for our African leaders to lead the way they want to lead, they must have a base of support that they know that when they take an action, they're going to have a base of support to support them. And these African leaders don't have that because we feel them. So you see that base of support needs to come from the diaspora.
But if we are so scattered in the diaspora, how are we going to be that base of support? They are on the continent. Recently we see ECOWAS, the East Africa something another army. We forget the word definition. The African continent have many armed forces. They have many army. What it take for them to come together? affecting Africa right now is the division in Africa, where they're not looking at Africa as a continent. And I believe, you know, I see the president of Kenya and you know, some others speaking about this, you know, to stop this foolishness about borders and create the African Union that it can work, you know. So if we, as we said, we're still scattered in the Caribbean. We can't even come together. We started federation in the 1940s, and we never even see the importance of that. And we're still there, a fight over a little island. We still believe that Jamaica is the greatest island. We still feel like, say, Trinidad is better. We still feel like, say, Barbados is better. So we have the division of Guana, you know. How we going to really have an impact if we still divided in the West, in the diaspora?
Well, my brother, and that's why I'm telling you that the colonizers, they did a hell of a job. They make sure that program like Garvey and Garveyism weakened, because they know if you have programs like Garveyism, then African leaders would have a base of supporters here in this region. You see, America is only fearful of the power within. That's the only power they're fearful of. You see the Jews and Israel. Do you think it's the Jews in Israel that keep Israel strong? No, it's the Jews in America who organize themselves, control their economic system, that make sure England is untouchable. Brothers and sisters, until we get our acts here, we're going to be having this conversation year after year after year, decade after decade after decade. But brother, the bleeding must stop someplace, and the bleeding must stop now, you know. The bleeding must stop now, and it's people like you and I with this mindset who have to stop it now. Look, while the fighting went on against slavery in Jamaica up in the hills, we had 60 groups of Maroons fighting the slavers. In 1751, one brother in Haiti said, look, slavery must stop. Francois Macandal. He said, slavery has to stop. And he said, we have to kill every slave master on a plantation until they get it. Francois Macandal knew that they would kill him.
Yes.
But he had to start the revolution. And if he didn't start the revolution and Haiti promised to where they stopped slavery on Haiti, slavery wouldn't stop. In Jamaica, if Sam Sharp never went out there and started doing the thing tacky and start destroying slave plantation, the British would not be fearful. It's because we drove the living fear in them. So, brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, if we in this region here in the diaspora don't do it, it will not be done on Africa. I'm going to tell you one thing, brother. We have 14 African states controlled by France. France is basically hijacking them. It's still modern day slavery in these 14 African states. They had to sign the Colonial Continuation Pact in the 1950s and 60s.
One of the wickedest
used this as a way of taking 85% of their income every year.
Yes.
And nobody talking about it. The powers that be mind their own business. But until we organize ourselves where we can talk about this, you have Niger. Niger supplies 70% of France electricity. If Niger stopped giving them electricity today, France is dark. France gets $500 billion a year from these 14 African states.
And people want to tell you that Niger is a poor country. Eh?
How
can a poor country, you know, support one of the superpower of the world with electricity, and you say it is a poor country? Eh? You see, this is one of the things that colonial education did and continue to do to our people, because they believe that information is education. Information is not education. Knowledge of self and knowledge of your people and the resources that you have, and knowledge to liberate yourself. That is the main source of education. But if you believe that you can just come and talk based upon what you are hearing through Western media and what they want to share with you, if you believe that these countries are poor, just like how people believe that Jamaica is a poor country, you know, poor country. Why any colonizer want to be in control of poor country? You see it? So we have to ask ourselves these questions. We must ask ourselves these questions, and we need to analyze ourselves and to see the things that are happening to us. Now, as you talk about chattel slavery, which the Asian fought off, right? Now, we realize what we are suffering now is economic, and now we are shifting into a new kind of slavery. And that's why I asked you about it earlier, which is robotic, digital, technological slavery. We see where we are heading now with this digitized world, which is still controlled by the globalists, them, by those who are telling us about the 2030 agenda. And I'm saying, my brother, as a leader of the UNIA right now, the President General, what kind of push can we make now, you know, to sensitize our people, you know what I mean? That we can give the kind of information for our people to take charge of themselves on the technological side and the economic side, you know what I mean? And stop the whole thing of individualism and move towards a more collective society where we can start now.
Brother, the only place we can start is becoming a part of a movement that has this on its agenda as priority.
Sure.
Each of us attempting to do things by ourselves, and it's not going to work. You realize everybody can't do everything, but everybody can do something.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, don't do that something by yourself.
Yes.
Join a movement that you think is addressing the needs that you have. What I'm saying to you, Mr. Garvey has created such a movement. It did great things for us already.
Yeah.
It can do great things again.
True.
But until we come back home and join hands in hands and work together under one God, one aim, one destiny, all is going to happen. A few of us going to get rich and think that it's okay, but the majority of us, we're going to be left by the wayside. So what I'm saying to my brothers and sisters, what we can do immediately is to be a part of a system, a government, a movement that has this as a priority. If you don't have it, start one. If you're interested in the UNIA, join it and bring your resources. See what you can do. If you don't have a UNIA in your city or the town where you're from, organize 7 people and I will fly there to start that movement wherever you live, wherever you are, because we have to do it through an organizational approach. We have to be fighting hand in hand together. I can do this, I can do that. However, until we bring them together, we're going to be limited what we can accomplish. So what I'm saying, come back home to what brought us here. Marcus Garvey and Garvey is in. The Black Prince are still here. Join our ranks that we may build a better tomorrow. So all these problems we have, if we come home in unison, they will begin to disappear tomorrow.
One of the question I want to ask you now, right? Is there any branch of the UNI in Trinidad, Barbados, the Caribbean island? Is there branches around right now?
Well, apart from Jamaica, we have one in Curacao.
Wow. None in the
Yeah, we
Caribbean
have one.
islands, none in Trinidad, which we have some of the greatest advocates for Marcus Garvey, CLR James, you know what I mean? People like George Padmore and these great Garveyites, and you know what? These people have been written out of history.
Brother, brother,
Yeah.
even before we go to Trinidad,
Yeah.
there should be a Garvey division in every city in Jamaica. There should be one in St. Anne's.
Mm-hmm.
There should be one there. So you're right. There should be one in all these places. But our people haven't risen to the occasion.
Whoa.
So until our people rise, the same thing I'm asking people on this radio here today, is the same thing we ask in Trinidad. The same thing we ask in Haiti. The same thing we have done, but we have done it in Ghana and Liberia. We have done it in Kenya. We have done it in Liberia. We have done it in Sierra Leone.
Mm-hmm.
We want to do this in all our Africans. So even to start, since we have this link in Jamaica, we should do it in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming to Jamaica tomorrow for a few days.
You'll be here.
And if there were any seven people want to meet with me for me to promote Garvey and Garveyism and direct them how we can start a division in their city or town, I'm ready and willing to do it because that is my job.
We say you're flying to Jamaica tomorrow. You mean tomorrow, Emancipation Day, the 1st of August? You'll be here in Jamaica.
Yeah, but yeah, man. My wife has a friend who's getting married.
Okay.
And she invited us to the wedding, so we're going. But anytime I get the chance to do Garvey work, I do Garvey work.
Okay. Okay. Have you ever spoken at the Marcus Garvey event that them keep at IRA FM? Have you been invited here to talk?
The one out in St. Mary, right, sir?
Yeah, the one at IRA FM, yeah.
Yeah, man, I spoke there twice, I spoke there twice.
Okay.
I think in 2017 and 2018 I spoke there. But what happened since?
Mm-hmm.
We started having our own program. They had invited me a few years ago again.
Mm-hmm.
But because we have our own program in New York City on August 17th.
Okay.
Then I haven't been able to come back.
So will there be a major event and Marcus Garvey birthday in August? This coming.
Yes, man. In New York City, we're having the parade through Harlem.
Mm-hmm.
And we're having a function after in the evening.
Yeah.
So it's a whole day thing for us here in New York City.
Mm-hmm. And Marcus Garvey was a man who always promoting the art. You know, people don't even know that Marcus Garvey was a scriptwriter and into plays and all of these things, right? How the movement looking on these things, because these are the system that you can spread the message through, you know, the whole message of Marcus Garvey. As we say, otherwise than Burning Spear, and in the latter part, a man like maybe Capleton and Sizzla Kalonji, you know, the Bobo Shanti, them spoke about Marcus Garvey. You know, we don't see, you know, and otherwise than some other people who use them radio program to promote Marcus Garvey, Muta Baruch and the Cutting Edge. But the whole movement, you know, of even creating, we look at even the school at St. Anne, the Marcus Garvey, what is his name? What is the name of the school again? Marcus Garvey High School. Technical High School. I am saying, if even that institution, we can lobby some of our brethren them, you know what I mean, to, if I even, when school over, to have some kind of training that is taking place there to sensitize and educate people about Marcus Garvey, or maybe this generation don't see the relevance because this man, according to a lot of people, dead from 1940, and why we should have sit down on here and talk about somebody who dead from 1940, and we need just and when I say this, it's a serious thing, pertaining to even great artists like Bob Marley. If you ask a lot of the youth them today were into music, the person them with them emulate is the people them from the 90s, the people from 2000. The nowadays artists them, it's Vibes Cartel them know. None of them do even, it's because Buju Banton is alive. Why them still talk about him? And them even show him respect. No man who dead 1940. Saying, otherwise from me and you, them don't even have literature handbook because now that them have cell phone, all them say is some people are wind up and all of them new artists here. As you open the cell phone them and as you open your tablet and your laptop, it's something where no have nothing to do with our history. And if it's anything to do with us, it's the worst of the worst. Or we are kill one another and we are lick out one another brain, and even those who are bloggers. You really find any bloggers or vloggers talking about black history because that now sell. Are you there?
Yes. You want me to respond, brother?
Yeah, man. Me just I said them thing that you can hear what me I say.
Yes. Well, brother. If the youth them don't know it, it's not the youth them to be blamed. It's us who know it and haven't organized ourselves to disseminate those information. Like a place out by Marcus Garvey Technical School.
Yeah.
What would have done well is if we had a group of people who created a UNIA division within that area. And each day, each week, each year facilitate program to continue to teach about Mr. Marcus Garvey.
But you have a local president here. What is he doing?
No, it's not only what he's doing,
Mm-hmm.
Is what we are doing.
No, but I'm saying if somebody take up the role as a president, right? At least we must hear from you. You understand? And this is something when we say with a whole heap of movement. You have some people who just assign themselves, right? Or whether somebody put them in the position. But that's all they are doing. Just hold the position. But there is nothing serious. You know what I mean? Because Marcus Garvey, let me see if I can find it. I was looking at it a while ago. Seeing, because I have the philosophy and opinion here right in front of me. And we just want with people to understand. Say, when you take on certain struggle, it is not something that you're going to just sit back and watch and believe it is just, it will work like that. I don't see it now. But him say, leadership mean blood, sweat, tears, or something like that. You remember the quote. See? I was just trying to make sure I say it the right way rather than not seeing it now. But I am saying if we take on this thing of standing up for the movement, you have to be physically, mentally prepared to go out and give the people the necessary information. Because as we say, not for the people, them will just come out and talk about Marcus Garvey. But it is more than just talking. It is about work. Isn't it so?
Brother, and I do understand, and I'm a leader of the movement, and I'm based in New York. And even though I have great opinions, I have great ideas, I have great plans, the reason why I'm able to be successful in some of these plans is because I have some great people standing beside me.
Sure.
standing with me.
But your
I
help to
present-
mobilize is a kind of mobilization skill if you have those people beside you, don't it?
Yes, but then, brother, say the people them who know. When you see we have certain leaders, we have to rally around them. We have to give them that base of support because it's difficult to lead enough. And sometimes some people who only hold on to leadership because there's nobody else to take the leadership. So what we need, as Mr. Garvey said in leadership, what he said, we need leadership most importantly from the ranks of you and I.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm telling you the problem is that we need more of our people to get in the movement. More of our people to commit ourselves. And that's the thing where we are facing now, where leadership is left up to a few people. And then sometimes a few people, them get burned out. Them get tired. And them say, we can't do it anymore. So again, brother, that's why I will keep saying for the people who are listening, we need your help. For it to happen, each and every segment of our community must be involved. Remember, those people can only lead if they have the base to stand on. Just like I told you about the African leaders. They can only lead and do right for Africa if they have us to stand on. When we become their base, then they can lead the way that we want them to lead. So any leader, he must come forward from the people. So what we are saying, and my purpose for being on the program here, is to say to people, get involved.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a movement in your era, create one.
Perfectly so.
If we believe in Garvey and Garveyism, let's promote him. Let's build him. Let's teach the youth about him. But again, we as a people have to take responsibility for our failures. And I'm the first one who is willing to take it. That's why I step to the forefront and do what I can do to help the movement. So we're asking everyone to commit themselves to making a difference. If you have a person who is leading and not leading strong, help him. Brother, you know about the French Revolution, I mean the Haitian Revolution, right?
Yeah.
When you hear about the Haitian Revolution, do you know which is the first name they talk about? Or they always talk about?
They talk about a man from Jamaica named Bookman, Dirty.
No, not even him, because Bookman came, but who liberated the people and win the war?
Toussaint.
Okay. They speak about Toussaint L'Ouverture, right? And to me, Toussaint was a joke. But I feel sorry for Toussaint because he always thought that he needed his slave masters to lead him. Because you can't win a war. You can't win a war. And then you're asking the people you defeat question. You can't win a war and let them dictating to you where you should meet them.
End up in end up in a France and end up in a them prison. It's a mad move.
Yeah,
that.
but hold on. What I'm saying now, when Toussaint was leading, you know who was the real leader?
Dessalines.
Jean-Jacques Dessalines.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something. Jean-Jacques Dessalines respected leadership. He knew Toussaint was weak.
True.
But he was a soldier.
Yeah.
He said his job as a soldier was to prop up his weak leader. And Dessalines did just that.
To the detriment of the movement, because Toussaint still surrender because him as the leader find himself in the cells or the cell of the oppressor.
Well then, brother, he got what he deserved because that's his decision. But no, Dessalines told him we're not doing that. So that's where Dessalines took over after him.
Mm-hmm.
And Dessalines became the leader of the movement, liberated Haiti, do its own constitution and proclaim that any black man who land on the shores of Haiti, you are now free. What Dessalines did, Dessalines drove fear into those slave ships that would pass anywhere close to the Haitian border, because the Haitian would capture those ships and free those people. But what I'm saying, for the time that Dessalines was there, Dessalines becomes the base that Toussaint stood on. That's why Toussaint could have gone so far. So what I'm saying, if we have a leader, for me personally, I know how to lead because I have followed for a long time and I know how to follow. But what I'm saying, we need to identify people who are leading in our communities and prop them up. Give them that base of support that they can lead better. Because without the base under your feet, brother, I'm telling you, I have personal contact with government in Africa. And I know the tribulation that they face.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the support of our people. My objective now is to constant build, to get brothers and sisters to join our ranks in the UNIA, that we can be 2 people more stronger, six people stronger, 10 people stronger. My objective is to get somebody to invite me to any parish, any town in Jamaica where I will fly there and have a meeting to set up a UNIA division. Any part of the world, that's what I do.
Yeah.
But I realize that when we install leaders, the leaders are only as good as the people that create the base that they're standing on. That's why the African leaders are having a problem, because when you have 14 African countries seeing their next African country having a problem and cannot help them because France say you signed the Colonial Continuation Pact, and I'm telling you, do not help another African country. They have to listen. And we don't organize ourselves that we can fight and defend them.
There's a listener.
Yes,
there's a listener listening from England. Her name is HMH Shishat. She's asking, maybe question we asked already, but we just want to acknowledge our listeners. All right. What does he think they have done wrong? Why there is not developed in all the cities and not in other islands? How can he get people more learned about Marcus Garvey philosophy? That's her question.
She's asking, how can we get people more learned about Marcus Garvey philosophy?
Mm-hmm.
The greatest thing, by she and everyone else joining us in the movement and helping us to propagate those information, because we are reaching the people we can reach, and we need more help to reach others. So again, is to get the support, the help of the people who don't even believe, not really only believe, but people who know and know what to do. That's what we need right now to make that difference. We are doing what we are doing. That's why I'm speaking to you. That's why I travel anywhere over the world to do what I can do. But if we have 25 more brothers and sisters like the movement will get further much faster. So what I need from the sister, you and everyone else, is your help in liberating our people.
Yeah, and that's why we do a program like this to highlight and support, as I said to you yesterday, I make sure that my children in my home understand who Marcus Garvey is. My youngest son, he's a co-author of a book called Marcus Speaks with Dr. Eleanor Wint. That's her name. I'm not sure if don't want to mispronounce her name. Anyway, but we are saying we're happy to have you as the President General, there in New York, seeing, continuing with the struggle, and we need to talk more about Marcus Garvey, and it's always my mission, my purpose, to highlight not just Marcus Garvey, but any black revolutionaries, because there are so many. And that is something that we must pay attention to, that, Marcus make his transition 1940, seeing, and the question that a whole heap of people are asked still, seeing, since Marcus Garvey, who else? You know what I mean? And that is something very important that we must pay attention to, because we can't sit down the next 200 years and talk about Marcus Garvey either. We must find leader come up with some vision and something maybe different, because it would be look like we're stuck if we steer for the rest of our life just to talk about one individual, right? And as you say a while ago, that you need 25 more people like you. You know what I mean? And remember, it's like when we sit down and we speak continuous about somebody like Marcus Garvey, it's tantamount to the Christians think that Jesus is going to come back. Because Marcus is not here to save us anymore. Haile Selassie is not here to save us anymore. But what is it that we are going to do for ourselves? What new ideas that we are going to develop and expand on what we learned from our great fathers and mothers who stood and laid a foundation. And what we can say, Marcus Garvey laid a solid foundation is for us to see how we can develop on it and take it to what we want to be, that fundamental liberation for all. My brother Michael Duncan, I happy to have you here. I am happy to have you here. And guess what? We are going to talk again and again and again, because you are doing a great job, right? Just to listen to you with your passion and how you are expressing, yourself pertaining to Marcus Garvey and the movement. We know that you are keeping it alive, and we will do our very best, to see how we can join you, and make sure that the movement grow and spread right across the world. We give thanks for your contribution to this program, and we'll talk again.
Much love, my brother and my dear sister. One God, one aim, one destiny.
Marcus Garvey, love and light. Yes, this is the Community Buzz, and it is Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music. We are on the World Wide Web, www.fitfmja.com. Yes, we smallcast and primal4k.com as well. So we give thanks for another program. Say next strong Nina vibes, Julia, you in a holiday thing? You're there for holiday. So we're not on program next week. All right, because I was planning something different for next week, but make we talk during the week. All right. So, people, say tomorrow is Emancipation Day. I don't know what I'm going to do. You understand? We don't know what is happening, you know what I mean, on Emancipation Day or across the island. So, whatever you do, just reflect on our journey and to know that our ancestors, gave their lives for us to be here. And when you see yourself, just know, say, you are an extension of your ancestors. Nobody believes they're dead and gone. They are with us. You know what I mean? We are walking around with their DNA. As Sadhguru that say, your great-great-grandmother knows sit on your face right now. Understand that. So we have to give thanks, and we are looking forward for another program very soon. If it's not next strong, it's the other strong. Love and light. This is Aymara, the musical revolutionary. Bless up all of the people that listen. Diana Wright, you was in there. And bless up Diana Wright. Bless up the whole Primal 4K. Bless up 16 Bars production. Bless up Milton Boot. Bless up my brethren all over in New York. You know, so many people. Give thanks. All right.